Today we come to the last session of Unit 4 in Begin Anew. We're talking about begin anew to behave like Christ. First we talked about begin anew to behave like Christ in relationship to the needs we see in our church, in our lives, and in our communities, in our world. Then we took a look at begin anew to take a look at our gifts, our abilities, our interests, and our spiritual gifts. And then last time we took a look at begin anew to how would Jesus look at our experiences and how can those experiences be used in further ministry. So today we come to the final session when we want to bring it all together. And the theme of this is begin anew to behave like Christ in relationship to ministry and mission. But before we get into that, I want to have you meet César García. He's the General Secretary of Mennonite World Conference. César, could you tell us, why do we need a Mennonite World Conference?
Mennonite World Conference, let's think about it as the biggest local congregation. So it's the organism, a life organism that brings together churches from all over the world that shared their Anabaptist roots in order to learn from each other what is the meaning of following Christ today. How can we, in each context, be more relevant to the situation that we are immersed in? Is the organism that helps us to share our resources, to learn from each other, and also to serve to the world in one interdependent way.
How can Mennonite World Conference help us to find our ministry or mission in the world?
Well, Mennonite World Conference helps us to see where are the biggest needs around the world. It helps us to also discover where our churches are working in different ministries like church planting or social development or peacemaking, health care. So MWC, Mennonite World Conference, helps us to identify these places of service and coordinate a response that will help us also to avoid duplication of efforts.
César, you travel around the world in your ministry and you see the needs of the people in the world. Today we're trying to help people to find a mission in the world. Is that possible? Is there enough need in the world that every Christian should have some kind of a mission?
Needs around the world are never-ending. What is sad is that sometimes we found ourselves duplicating efforts. So, of course, for one single Christian, for one individual, it's very difficult to address the needs of the world. There are so many and too big. So we need each other. We need our local congregation to do that. But even for a local congregation, needs are huge. So we need to work together from different cultures, from different churches, in order to have a bigger and a more creative response to the needs of the world. And without doubt, every single Christian will have a place to address that. Some people can go to different places, others can pray, others can support financially, others can develop their own gifts in a way that, well, is unique, but is going to help how others are addressing the different needs. So every person has a role, a mission, a call in this world.
César, this quilt behind you represents Mennonite World Conference. Each piece is different, and yet they all fit together. And is that a little bit the way it is with ministry in the church? Each person has a gift, but they all fit together like an orchestra or like a quilt. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that's so right. Like a quilt, in this diversity in the world, when we are together, then we can form a new, let's say, image of the church and even of Jesus that makes more sense. Sometimes we get a lot of knowledge, theory, And it's only when we are together with others that we discover how our gifts can be used. As Anabaptists, we believe that we learn by experience more than just by getting knowledge or intellectual knowledge. So the possibility of bringing into practice what we are learning, that helps us also to really be like Jesus. So when we are not practicing what we know, when we are not serving others or loving others in a practical way, then we are losing our essence. The first church several centuries ago, in that age, people believed that it was very important to start practicing, and then maybe years later start acquiring theoretical knowledge about what they were doing already. So practice is essential. We need just to do what Jesus did.
César, thank you. You've been very helpful to us. I can tell you've been a pastor, and now in one sense you're a pastor to all of us around the world. I pray that God will bless you in your ministry as you continue. I encourage that in your group you discuss what you have heard from César, and then go on to the 3 final questions in this session. The first is, what have you learned about yourself, about your abilities and interests and gifts, and your experiences as well? And the second is, what is your ministry? What do you believe God is calling you to? What kind of ministry in the church might you have? And the third question is, what might God be calling you to in the world? What is your mission in the world? Thank you for giving your thought to this, and as you come to the conclusion, think about how you might celebrate the conclusion of this and how the Begin Anew series have helped you to begin anew in your beliefs or your relationships, and hopefully in a ministry in the church.